When I saw my boy Ryzel walk in like a total king at the end of the episode, saving the day and most likely going to be whooping some Kron's ass, I was ecstatic. This episode is best described as it's filled with personality. There is personality out the ass every which angle that you look at it. This show has had a lack of personality in terms of how it perceives and kind of showcases certain elements. But this episode, you got heart from M-21's noble sacrifice of abandoning the idea of him actually being able to get those names, get those locations, everything that he's fought for a bunch of students who he thought he didn't love. You have Regis and just his, honestly, noble sacrifice of rising to the occasion and fighting for someone who he thought he wanted to kill. You have so many different elements at play in one simple location to create the perfect Noblesse episode, in my honest opinion. This is as close to the OVA's quality as I think we're probably going to see. That's a great sign, because in terms of the action spectacle, beautifully animated, a lot of interesting ideas for the overall movements and action set pieces, the emotional pulls. I mean, you have two characters on the antagonist side knowing that they don't want to hurt these kids but can't go against their leader unless they want to get killed. There's so many different things happening and there's so much to just break down and analyze, and I love that about this episode. M21 has been my favorite character pretty much ever since he's been introduced, or kind of like the episode after he was introduced. He's a character who firmly believes he's a soldier, doesn't know what it is like to be human, and to have a situation where he is so close to honoring his friend's request, so close to getting the truth that he wants, and all that stands in his way is not jumping in to save a bunch of students who he firmly believes are just students. He may know them, but that's not his problem. I absolutely love how he rises to the occasion. He's someone who says, you know what, I'm not strong enough to defeat these people, but at the very least, I can give them a fighting chance. He's able to get the jump on these people, get the jump on Shark, someone who's I firmly wanted to have a brutal death, and when I saw his brutal death, I was like, holy shit, that's even more brutal than I was wanting. This was an episode that really let M21, I think, even if he wasn't your favorite character yet, he probably is at this point, because you can't help but get a little teary-eyed watching what he was doing. Yeah, we've seen similar ideas done before, but in the situation that we're a part of, there is so many different elements at play. A group of students not knowing why they were there. You have M21 trying to lie his way to get to the truth. You have, of course, this group trying to find the Noblesse. There's so many different things happening, and all think different of what's occurring right here. But it all comes down to a man willing to lay down his life for a group of people who either don't like him or have no idea what he actually is in the grand scheme of things. They're just him as some old dude, or you have, of course, Regis saying he's just a traitor and a horrible person. It was really nice to see that and see what he was able to accomplish, even briefly. Like, yeah, he wasn't able to hold his own all too long, but he was able to get the jump and give everyone an honest-to-go shot. And when he looked over at Regis and said, it's all up to you now, that's when you knew, like, I firmly thought he was dying in this episode. And seemingly he hasn't died yet. He's lost a lot of blood, but I think now that we have our boy Ryzel pop up, I don't think he's dying. He could, sure, but I feel like if they were going to kill him, they probably would have done it already, especially considering the brutal death we did see in this episode. And honestly, I was kind of shocked by the gore in this episode. When Shark got splattered by his leader, I was like, okay, I expected that in the OVA, but not the television production. But goddamn, production IG, you're not pulling any punches here. You're making sure those punches connect, and goddamn do they connect in a brutal force. Regis is a character who I think has a big mouth in a certain way, and that can be irritating depending on how you look at it. But I don't think that big mouth comes from nowhere. He does have the skills to back it, and the only reason he wasn't able to win this situation is because the leader of them is a lunatic who uses these drugs to increase their abilities, but they're just there so he can drain their abilities for himself. I'm like, wow, what a great guy, huh? You know, you thought you saw evil scumbag with Shark last week, and now you got this guy who just takes the cake. And you knew Ryzel was going to pop up. There's no way that it was going to end without him coming too. And I know there are some people who have said that Ryzel is the main character, right? And we hardly ever see him. All we see him is have these joke moments, and he's always stone cold. He doesn't have a lot of personality. And I think if you're looking at him as the main character, that would be an issue. But for me personally, he's not really the main character. I feel like in terms of the cast, they're actually spreading it throughout multiple characters. You have the students, you have M21, you have Regis, and you have Sierra, who is, holy shit, is she a badass? She was just tanking explosions and doing some insanity. There's not much to say with her side, except she's a total badass bitch. Easiest way to put it. She's in charge when she wants to be, and I think she probably has that okay by herself, even with the giant dude in his bucket of fried chicken. She's taking blasts left and right, and honestly giving him a run for his money. But honestly, when you look at it, it feels like rather than Ryzel being like, oh, he's the main character, he's the one who deals with everything, rather, he deals with things that are too powerful for everyone else. He feels like a king, and the king doesn't leave the battlefield. The king usually sits on a throne. And if for whatever reason the king has to draw his sword because they've reached his throne room, you expect the king to be able to hold his own. There's a reason people should want to follow him. And that honestly feels like the best way to describe Noblesse and Ryzel. He is the king. He's someone who does get the job done when it counts. The OVA. Episode 5. But there are other people who are top-line soldiers, and he can lead them from a distance or kind of manipulate the chess field in the way that he wants to. And that's what I really like about it, is if you look at him as, oh, he's the main character and there's nothing really happening with him, then yeah, the show's gonna suck for you. But if you look at it as the cast overall is the main characters, and it's not just like, oh, here's a random school friend for Ryzel, he's just a side character. No, he's just as much a main character as anyone else on screen, then it becomes a lot more interesting, and because of this episode really giving almost everyone their chance to shine. Students fighting for their life, you have the noble race, you have obviously M-21 and his kind of like modified human species. Everything about it just felt like it was so exhilarating, and the beautiful animation. I mean, when you see Frankenstein's fight, I mean, there was some high quality stuff going on there. I don't think many people are going to say it didn't look beautiful in terms of the action, which you can argue the action up until now has been a little underwhelming, and I'm not going to say you're wrong in the slightest, but this episode was peak action-packed. It was adrenaline pumping, and the guitar riff that they were playing for almost half the episode, it felt like, was such a good way to get into that metal sphere, because everything about this scene was metal. It's just a lot of fighting, a lot of crazy anime character designs with shark teeth or they're modified humans, and you get this like really metal guitar riff going. You can't help but just kind of want to head bash alongside as you're seeing the insanity take hold. It was just great. It just felt like this was an episode that felt like payoff, that the people who have been watching this, who have either enjoyed it slightly, enjoyed it a lot, or honestly felt like it was underwhelming, this is the episode that brought it all together and showed us what this series is truly capable of. And I've enjoyed it for its simplistic moments. Hell, it could have been mostly just Ryzel and the group just doing random school things, and I would have had fun with it. But I really hope if this is a good indicator, now that we're really into the plot here, we can keep going with this type of territory. I do expect memory alteration again like in the OVA, but maybe they won't do it this time around, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, this feels like a good sign for the series going forward. This was an exceptional episode, and honestly I feel as close to perfect as we're probably going to see from this anime in my honest opinion. I don't think the show is perfect, I don't think it's the best anime of the season, and I know for some people it's their favorite webtoon, and I honestly know I'm one of the few people who are reviewing this show and enjoying it, but it felt to me like this is an episode that just incorporates and encapsulates just everything that's good about this show, that if I had to show someone why Noblesse is worth watching, this is a good episode to show them. Even though I know people would say, no, you gotta show them the first episode, you gotta show them the OVA. You show them the OVA, that should be a good indicator, but if they're starting to watch the episodes and they're like, I don't know if I really want to see this, like I kind of enjoy this, be like, trust me, you get to episode 5, it's just going to keep going up from here. It's a show that I like. It's not perfect overall, but this episode, it's close to it if I'm being completely honest. What did you think though? Down below, let me know your thoughts, because this is an episode that kind of gave everyone their chance to shine, and I think everyone had an equal spotlight, to be completely honest. I mean, Ryzel's the only one who kind of didn't get a big moment, but his big moment is clearly coming next week. So let me know your favorite down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support and hit that subscribe button if you haven't been around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.